cruising our precious little butts off near the Zigzag Railway, near Lithgow, just west of Sydney, up in the Blue Mountains. We're off on a 2-day trail ride across some of the old gold mining country of the high country outside New South Wales. From here we head across to the back of Lithgow, up towards Kapiti, and then we turn west into a beautiful trail that follows the picturesque Turon River across to Sofala and Hill End. Joining us today, Lance Sternley, our new off-road explorer, editor at Trail Zone magazine, and a couple of good mates of his, Chris and Ray. What do you reckon, Lance?
I reckon it's going to be good, Clubby. We've got an old Tenere with us, which I reckon is going to be as reliable as all get out. But we're just trying out the BMW, the KTM and the Suzuki, but this isn't about the testing the bikes, this is about the trip. This is about having a good time and just seeing what there is to see and just enjoying the trails.
All right, follow me, Lance. Let's do it.
You can take Clubby out of the single track, but you can't take the single track out of Clubby. As if on autopilot, Clubby forgot he was on a dual-purpose bike and headed for what he knows and loves. It didn't take long for him to realise that these bikes are more at home on the open fire trails. So once he got it out of his system, we headed north towards the Gardens of Stone National Park.
Mind the view.
So where are we, Clubby?
I'd actually call this the western edge of the Great Dividing Range. To be any more specific than that, Lance, could be a small problem, but I do know where I'm going. We've come from Zigzag Railway and Clarence Station this morning. Basically, it's a simple route, Blackfellows track, down to this trail now that leads us along these awesome views here above the Nunes Plateau, Glen Davis, Kapiti, and our next stop's going to be down at Kapiti, where we'll refuel and then head across over the Turon River. You enjoying it so far, Lance?
Oh mate, it's real good. I've just been on the Dakar all the way along this trail. Bit of an armchair, but nice and comfortable. Gotta love the heated grips. So
I'll offer you $100 for the heated grips tomorrow morning, Lance. Can I please have them then?
no, I don't think so. But anyway, let's move on. So how you find this KTM, Clubby?
I feel like it's a memorial to Andy Caldicott, eh? Like you feel like you want to be out in the dunes of Dakar for sure. It's so different to the Suzuki. I started on the Suzuki this morning. It's soft, it's plush, easy, a lounge chair. The KTM, it just shows its pure competition heritage, yeah. Whole lot of dirt bike, feels like a dirt bike, rides like a dirt bike. A lot of speed to play with, which is going to catch you out on some corners. I think it's a case of me getting a little bit more used to it in the dirt yet.
Okay Chris, you started out on the KTM and now you're on the Suzuki. For somebody who hasn't got a whole heap of off-road experience, but a heap of on-road experience, how do you compare these two bikes?
The KTM as the on-road segment of the bike is fantastic. Once I got off-road, I was a little intimidated. It's got plenty of grunt and it was a little bit too much bike for me. I'm used to a smaller KTM 250 and I've slipped on this Suzuki. I reckon this is a go if you're an entry-level off-road rider.
Okay, after a morning spent in the Gardens of Stone National Park and the Nunes Plateau, we've now popped out back on the main road between Lithgow to the south, Mudgee to the north. Our next stop is only a couple of clicks up the road at Kapiti, fuel and food, and then we head off over further west towards the Gold Country.
Just north of Kapiti, we turned left onto the Upper Turon Road and headed for Sofala. The first section winds through open pastures and then eventually descends down to the Turon River. Nearly all of the road is in excellent conditions and will suit all riders. There are some sections with rocky surface as the road runs along the river further downstream. It's no problem for the experienced off-road rider, but for the novice it may provide some nervous moments.
In my opinion, this is the most picturesque part of the ride. We've dropped down off the ranges, right down here to the banks of the Turon River. Beautiful part of the world. 20 kilometres to go to Sofala. What do you reckon, Lance?
Mate, it's been excellent. Just beautiful roads. It's recently been graded, so it's not too much trouble for any of the bikes. The BMW is handling it fine. So's the Suzuki. Chris is having a good time on the Suzuki, and unfortunately we can't pry that KTM off you, mate, because you're just not giving it up since you got on it.
All 12 inches of suspension at both ends. It's all mine. That's right.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So anyway, from here we're going to head up to Sofala, and the boys have been asking for a beer, but I don't know if we're going to have time to stop. But then we're heading straight across the hill end, where we're going to stay at the pub for the night. What do you reckon, Clubby? Get going?
Let's do it, Lance. Let's keep going.
The road crosses back and forth across the Turon. As much as you would like to blast through the water, the causeways were actually very greasy and needed to be approached with caution. As easy as the roads were, I unexpectedly found myself out of my depth. While shooting some pics for issue 14 of Trial Zone, a minor off-track excursion suddenly turned into what could have been a minor disaster. Clubby explains.
Lance had a, shall we say, an off-track excursion off the track. I'd say it happened at about 1 mile an hour. I was first alerted to it by the sound of the BMW's horn in the distance, which is the international signal for rider in suffering, please come to help, which I duly did to find Lance 20 metres off the side of a gentle dirt road, unable to pick his bike up. So in the ensuing melee, we've discovered that when the bike has fallen over on the side of the track, it's landed, would you believe, on the master cylinder, the rear brake master cylinder, smack dab on a rock, which has then twisted the frame mounts on the backbone of the frame where the master cylinder mounts, which means then any time you apply the rear brake, the master cylinder plunger just jams and stays stuck on, which is rather to the detriment of forward progress. So we'll try and see if we can straighten things out here and now. And I don't like my chances. This bloody frame on this BMW, it's built like, what's something super solid, Lance? Like an aircraft carrier. I don't think my humble Metzler tire levers are going to move it somehow.
Sofala is the oldest gold mining town in Australia. Established in 1851, its boom was short-lived, and by 1852, the population was in decline. And it's easy to pick the locals. They're the ones that turn up with a beer in their hands. The Sofala Royal Hotel and the general store seem to be the hub of all activity in town, and the pub provided an opportunity for one refreshing ale, where Teneray Ray gave us the story behind his latest pride and joy.
So Ray, you fixed the Beamer, good on you. So tell me, how'd you get into adventure riding?
Well, Lance, it was a matter of mathematics. And 12 minus 9 equals 3, and that's how many points I had left on my sports bike. So I decided I better get away from those radar guns, and I got onto eBay and I got in at the low end of adventure riding. I bought myself a Teneray for $3,500, sight unseen. Probably one of the few stories off eBay that is actually a success story. It's been one of the most pleasurable pieces of two-wheel equipment that I've ever had the pleasure of riding on. I'm getting more fun out of that than $20,000 sports bikes at the moment. I've managed to get all my points back. But what I've been doing is learning a hell of a lot about this beautiful country of ours. The thing with the Tenere, as I said, it's the low end of the market, but it's reliable. Runs to about 350, 400 k's on a tank of gas, 22 litres. It's comfortable. It's probably a better road bike than a dirt bike, but my dirt capability is fairly limited anyway, so I just punt it along. But on the road, it'll tour well. It's been to Phillip Island from Sydney twice now, and it ticks all my boxes, quite frankly, Lance. And I'm having a ball, having a great time out here. We just followed that Turon River there. Doesn't get much prettier than that, and I think that's what it's all about. You know, we've ridden all the good road rides. You know, you name it. The old road, we've been down through National Park 200,000 times. All the sporting stuff, but this is just a whole new aspect to motorcycling, and it's one that I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Next, we headed off along Hill End Road through Sally's Flat to our overnight stay at Hill End. The road is wide open, with a mixture of gravel and tarmac sections, and gave us an opportunity to extend the legs of the 650s.
Come on, no profanity.
Okay, all right.
Oh, Lance, give it your best.
Yeah. Here we are at Hill End. It's been an excellent day riding. Had one little mishap, but it was only a sort of fall over. Great trails, a couple little rough sections which weren't too bad, but we made it here. The weather's been great, and just can't complain. What do you reckon, Clubby?
No, it's been a brilliant day, Lance. Probably about 5 or 6 years since I've been here, and this last section between Sofala and Hill End, they've obviously added a little bit more tar than I remember, but mate, it's just been one of those good dual sport kind of days, so more of the same tomorrow.
Yeah, brilliant.
After a great night at the Royal Hotel here at Hill End, playing a bit of pool, drinking a few beers and devouring a few T-bones, now it's time to head off into the backcountry around Hill End. We're going to start by taking a look at a couple of gold mines and some lookouts this morning. Then we head down the Bridle track towards Bathurst before we head east back across through Sunny Corner and all the way home to Zigzag Railway at Clarence near Lithgow, where we kicked off the ride.
Hill End became one of New South Wales' largest inland towns, with more than 1 kilometre of shops, 5 banks, 2 newspapers, a brewery and 27 pubs. However, it didn't last forever, with the population reduced to 500 by the turn of the century. After taking it all in, the boys were keen to get back in the saddle, so we headed off down the historic Bridle track for the main leg of our ride.
This is it, the very heart of the Bridle track. We're standing on Monaghan's Bluff. I'd say it's about 1,000 feet straight down to the Macquarie River. We're going to keep heading due south. An awesome ride, just keep away from the edge of the trail whatever you do. So it's been an awesome ride on the bridle track. What's next, Lance?
Well, we're going to head into Bathurst for some lunch, but before we do that, I just want to say thanks to KTM, BMW and Suzuki for the loan of the bikes for this weekend. They've just been absolutely fantastic and super reliable. I also want to thank Chris, Ray with his GPS, and if you ever see these two blokes out on the trail, you want to catch up with them because they've got a few good yarns. So thanks again to Chris and Ray, and yeah, now I think we'll head off to Bathurst and have some lunch while the boys have some beers.
Let's do it, Lance. There you go, Zigzag Railway to Hill End, the New South Wales Gold Country, and back again. An awesome weekend away for us. Look out for more good adventure rides coming up in future issues of Trail Zone magazine.
You can read about the bridle track ride in issue 14 of Trail Zone magazine. For more information on the ride, including essential contacts, links to accommodation and information about the route, go to www.offroadexplorer.com and follow the links to the bridle track ride.